And people asked me, so weren't you afraid? I don't think any of us were afraid. The ward was next to our house, and there the single Filipino workers lived in there as a dormitory, so they were all on the porch watching the whole thing. And they weren't afraid either. They just stood there and watched the whole thing. My name is Walter Tadao Oka. On Friday evening, the ships would, like a big parade, the destroyers would come in, the cruisers would come in, the auxiliary ships, the battleships, and then the aircraft carrier that came in. And this was late after school, so I used to stand on the porch and watch the parade of ships. And Sunday morning, the Army Air Corps in formation used to come over the battleship row, and they'd circle around it and did mock dive bombing, and we used to watch that. So when December 7th came, we heard the roar of airplanes and explosions. So we said, wow. We all ran out to the porch. My two brothers, sisters, my dad and myself went out the porch. We had a panoramic view of Pearl Harbor, and we seeing this dive bombers coming in. The torpedo planes came very low and dropped their torpedoes. And all of a sudden, the explosion took place, and first thing came to my mind was, oh boy, the Army is really mad at the Navy. They're dropping real bombs and killing the Navy. And, well, you figure I was 13 and a half years old, and then watching the maneuvers by the Air Corps, I thought this was something realistic. And only when the plane flew over the house and I saw the insignia of the Japanese flag, then I realized that it wasn't the Army, but it was the Japanese Navy that attacked Pearl Harbor. So in that mayhem of planes flying and dropping their bombs and the explosion, all of a sudden I heard this horrendous explosion. The only description I can give it was like, ka-pow, real loud. And in a few seconds, the shock wave from the explosion hit my chest and sent me back about a few inches in the back, and it was really deafening. From the explosion, the oil caught fire, so you can see a huge column of smoke filling the skies. And then within 30 minutes, the planes were gone. And during that interlude, you could hear explosions here and there because of the fire and what have you, either gasoline or ammunitions. You can hear an explosion here and there. And then after about a half hour, another set of Japanese plane came by. And by this time, in the first raid, account shows that some of the planes were shot by. I didn't see any plane getting shot out of the skies in the first raid. But in the second raid, the Navy was ready. So when the planes came by, you could see anti-aircraft guns shooting, and you can see puffs of explosion in the air. Or if some of them hit the airplane, you can see the airplane in flames crush into the harbor. And then that's when the second explosion that was really spectacular was later I learned that was USS Shaw. And it blew up in the skies, and I have a picture of that. And then I said, wow, if you've been to any kind of fireworks on the finale, this is better than that. And then it all quieted down, and the plane disappeared, and still you could hear a muffled explosion here and there. And then by then, the Navy tugboats, etc., with fire hoses came by trying to quench the fire. So we just stood there and watched the whole thing. That evening, a survivor from a sailor from the USS Arizona, who claimed that when the Arizona exploded, he got blown out into the water, so he was lucky he survived without a scratch. The other was a Marine that was on the USS Oklahoma. And as the ship was capsizing, he said he jumped into the water. And they both came to our house because my brother was a ham operator. And somehow the FBI or somebody knew that we have shortwave radio. So they came over to guard the thing until it was taken away. Another group came and took the radio away, then they were gone. And then maybe a couple of days later, I wasn't home, and my brother was home. And two FBI agents came by asking for this Walter Oka, who knew so much about the United States Navy and the disbursement of the fleet. And there was a family picture on the wall, so the FBI agent said that which one of them is Walter? And my brother pointed to the little boy in the picture, so they were kind of miffed, I guess. They were kind of disappointed that this big spy or what have you was just a little boy, and they left. I used to hang out because I used to do shoe shine. The sailors came in. There was a pier at our, right down the harbor. When the ships came in, the boat that carried all the sailors to shore docked over there, and they caught the train and the buses to go to Honolulu and have a nice weekend, what have you. So I used to go there and shine their shoes and for 5 cents, and sometimes they give you a dime or a quarter. When they give you a quarter, like, whoa, it's big money. And the other thing that we did was sell chewing gum, candy bars, and a newspaper. And as they came out, I used to collect match covers from the sailors. I used to, the match covers of they had a silhouette of their ship with a name on it. And I collected a whole bunch of them. And by hanging around, I knew where they moored. So when I look at the harbor, I knew which ship was where and what have you. So that maybe that's the reason why the FBI decided that, hey, this guy had been monitoring the ships before they attack, and I somehow signaled the Japanese to attack or something like that. So when I decided to join the Army because of the GI Bill, a lot of the classmates made fun of us. There were only 2 of us that volunteered. This Chinese guy that went to Alaska. And they said, you know, the war is over, why you want to go in? And I told them that it was because of the GI Bill. So in August of '46, I enlisted. So when I talked to the recruiter, I was going to join for 18 months, and he said, well, if you go for 3 years, you can go into whatever branch of service you want to get into. So I said, okay, I want to go into the medical corps. He said, fine. But when I got to Japan, evidently all of the interpreters that served during World War II were being discharged. And for the occupation of Japan, they needed interpreters to fulfill a lot of the requirements of occupation. After being interviewed, they said, well, so you got enough knowledge, so you're coming with us. I said, but I'm going to go to the medical corps. They said, no, you're not. So they sent us to a language school in Tokyo for about 3 weeks, teaching us Japanese military terminology. During the interview, you know, they talked in Japanese, and I talked back to them in Japanese. And after the interview, they said, you know, I said, this word you use is Chinese. I said, this word is Portuguese. This word is Filipino. I say, in spite of that, they still took me. So I figure I rationalize and say, with my kindergarten education, they still thought I knew enough Japanese to be interrogator. So in summer of 47, when I found out that I could visit my parents' hometown, so from Hiroshima I caught a bus, and at that time fuel was scarce, so they had a bus with a big charcoal furnace in the back of it. Evidently they got it from the Germans. I was going to stay there for about a week, but after one night I decided I better leave. They had to kill their chicken to feed me, and in the situation I figured I'm going to eat some of their food and what have you, so I felt pretty bad and found some excuse to, so the next day I left. When December came, when the port of Nahotka was frozen, then there weren't any prisoners coming back, so we were given passes, and we went to Kyoto, we went to Osaka, Nara, and sometimes to Tokyo. So we had time to travel during that lull. Then in 48, when that happened again, all of us were reassigned to military governments throughout Japan, and I was sent to Kumamoto for 3 months until the seaport was ready to ship Japanese prisoners back. In January of 49, I got notice from the American Red Cross that my mom was dying, so they sent me as an emergency leave to go back to Hawaii, only to find Mom was feeling real well. I was not in the hospital, I was home, so I was really mad. Because I had 7 months left to serve, and I wanted to go back to Japan. They said, no, they can't send us. She said, but if you re-enlist for 18 months, you can go back. And I said, no thanks. So I served the remainder of time at Fort Shafter in Honolulu.